All right. Welcome back to another amazing episode of the Drew Sutton Leadership Show. Today's spotlight is David Miller. Okay, get ready to meet David Miller, the man, the myth, the legend behind Chinkapin Brewing here in my hometown of Georgetown, Kentucky. David has combined his 35 years of experience in food and agribusiness manufacturing with his passion for home brewing, a hobby he's been honing for the last 20 years. After stumbling upon a chance to bring his microbrewery dream to life, Chinkapin Brewing opened its doors in June of 2023. David's award-winning brews like the Cooper Red Irish Red and Banana Republic's Dunkelweizen have already snagged bronze medals at the U.S. Open Beer Championship. That sounds like a lot of fun. We're going to find about that in the episode. Chinkapin boasts 9 house brews, a wood-fired pizza kitchen, local art, and an exciting weekly lineup, which includes jazz and trivia. Oh, and did I mention that he's also a marathon runner? 9 Boston races, though that may call into question his mental stability. We'll find out here shortly. Welcome to the show, David Miller.
Thank you. Good to be here.
All right. Man, this is fun. David has been an absolute gem. I have been trying to get on the show with him. We both had family vacations. You had a barkeep that got sick.
Yeah.
So super excited to have you on the show.
Thank you. Great to be here. Great to be able to pull this off.
Yeah, right. No, and the other reason I'm super excited is Chinkapin is a cool space. So we're both in Georgetown, Kentucky. Mm-hmm. Chinkapin, was it Kentucky Suds? Who did you guys buy out?
It was called My Old Kentucky Foam.
Mm-hmm. My Old Kentucky Foam. Yeah. No, beautiful spot though. I got some pictures here of the space. Mm-hmm. I mean, just absolutely super fun to go there. It's always packed. This is actually a pretty reasonable crowd. Like you're pretty packed most nights that I go. And of course, you got the wood-fired pizza.
Yep.
And some award-winning brews.
Yeah.
Cool. Sorry. So before we get into that, talk to me. 35 years in food and agribusiness, mm-hmm. For the man, as it were. We both done that play. What did you love about working, and why are you excited about what you're doing now?
Well, so my background, my education was in chemical engineering. So I went out of school, got a job, worked in the food agribusiness industry. So a lot of the processing, I guess we want to tie it to brewing. It's very similar.
You said chemical engineering?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So my roommates were chemical engineers, which by the way are the smartest engineers. I know that this could cause some ripples here, but it goes chemical engineers, electrical engineers, Tinker Toys, which is mechanical engineering. That's yeah. But I used to tease them. I was like, "You guys are you're just cooks."
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's like surgeons, right? They're just plumbers. So right.
That's been a lot. Yes, I like that one. That's funny.
So, So, and I love processes. I love working on them. I love working to make them more efficient. In terms of like either being more efficient in terms of their utility usage or the productivity, the output, those kinds of things. It's just something that's what I most enjoy about my 35 years of manufacturing was that aspect of the job. So.
That's exciting. So you spent a whole career being, a useful member of society. And then you said, I think I want to go drink.
Yeah.
So talk to me about what you have 20 years of brewing. Did that just start like a little pony keg at home or?
Yeah, just basic home brewer with a 5-gallon bucket kind of thing. And starting to dabble in it. My uncle was actually doing it, home brewing, and I just a visit with him and seeing what he was doing kind of like intrigued me. And I've always liked beer, and craft beer. So starting to try, well, maybe I could do that myself kind of thing. And yeah, became a hobby. And again, it's like the OCD, the fascination with processes and process improvement. It's like, okay, adding equipment and how can I make my beer taste like, the pros do and that kind of thing. So that's what I've done for quite a while.
So you said the pros. Who was? I mean, Sam Adams has got to be in there somewhere. Who was the pros when you said, "Hey, I want to be like them"?
Yeah, I mean, Sam Adams was one. That was one of the early craft beers that I really enjoyed. And other big names that are in the craft industry now. They're not, I almost can't call them craft. They're so big, but like Brian Geist, Sierra Nevada, are some of my longtime favorites.
Yeah. So are you a dark beer guy or a light beer guy? Where do you sit? Just like when you drink by yourself?
Yeah, I waffle.
Well, weird. Not when you drink by yourself. When you drink for fun.
Yeah, no, I kind of waffle a bit. I used to be pretty much light beer person, but I've grown to like all styles. So, sometimes I'm a light beer guy, and that's when I got a hankering for, and sometimes dark. So I move around. Yeah.
That's fun. Now, do you do all the brewing on site? I'm trying to find a picture. That's the wrong direction. That's the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Picture of your stuff.
I don't know if I have one that might have the brew house in it. I may not have given you one of those, but it's in the back. Yeah.
You have, you probably have 4 or 5 pretty large, like a couple 100-gallon tanks.
Yeah. I've got a mash tun and a boil kettle that are around 400 gallons. 2 hot and cold liquor tanks that are 800 gallons. And then the fermenters are somewhere in that 300 gallon, 400 gallon vicinity. It's a 7-barrel system.
Okay.
So.
And do you, you just work them one at a time, or do you have multiple flavors going at the same time?
I have multiple flavors going at the same time. The volume right now that we're brewing, as far as what's in the manufacturing process, I might have 2, sometimes maybe 3 beers going at once. But yeah. And then, like I said, right now we've got anywhere from 9 or 10 flavors of our beers on tap. So, yeah.
So when did you decide, hey, I want to take this from a hobby to pro? Did you have a semi-pro stage where you did like beer fairs and street yards, or did you just go straight from home brewing up?
Yeah, no, straight from home brewing to where I am today. So I tried to do this a few years ago when I was still in manufacturing, trying to get a few buddies that also kind of home brewed and enjoyed it to start something up with me, but I couldn't get anybody to join and pony up some capital to try to make it happen. So I kind of just gave up on it. Didn't think it was going to happen, and then my wife and I stumbled upon this place here in Georgetown, and I checked into it, and it's kind of like, well, the price point was something that was doable that we could do ourselves, and so we're taking a swing at it.
Yeah, I remember when you guys bought it, I was actually a little bit frustrated because I liked that space a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm personally, I certainly enjoy my beer. But I didn't know that I wanted to run a bar. So I was going to do something else with the space, and I couldn't figure out a business model that made a lot of sense in Georgetown.
Yeah.
And then you guys bought it, and I was like, oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Because it's a really cool place to show up.
It is. It's fun. And, I got into it for the brewing. I wasn't also necessarily interested in running a bar or like a restaurant type business. But that's kind of part of the territory these days. At least the bar part, right? You have to have a tap room and serve your beer there. But, so far the other 2 pieces, the outside the bar and the kitchen piece is going really well. So I'm happy about that.
Yeah, no, it's good pizza. Because you guys got the cheese sticks. I think you all do pretzels too, right?
Yeah, we have a pretzel. We have beer cheese that's locally made. Sole, I guess, customer for this person that makes the beer cheese for us. Everyone knows him as a local guy. But I don't know if I should say his name or not. But
you can give him a shout out here. That'd be good.
Yeah. His name's DT Wells.
DT Wells, yes.
Yeah.
That's fun.
So he's a good guy. So he makes his beer cheese for us for our pretzels. We have wings, several flavors there. Best wings in town. The only wood-fired pizza in town. It's pretty outstanding.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's a good pizza. It's a good spread. But you're more than just a bar. Mm-hmm. You also have a lot of activities. I know that I've been there for a trivia night, and there's live music. So what do you guys do to keep it fun, and what's your favorite activity?
Yeah, so we have programming 5 nights out of the week right now. Tuesdays we alternate between jazz and an open mic night. So Marlon McKay, a local jazz musician, brings a group in on one Tuesday, and the guys are really amazing. If you like jazz music, there's some seriously talented dudes that show up and play with him on an alternate Tuesday, usually up to 4 or 5 guys.
Oh, wow.
Sometimes a vocalist will pop up and join them too. So, and then on the alternate Tuesdays, Alicia New helps do the sound, and we do an open mic night. And we'll get, not every week, but every so often, somebody new will pop in and really impress us. And then we try to book them for our live music, which is on Fridays and Saturdays. We feature a live music starting at 7 o'clock, either a small band or a solo artist. So,
and that's on you said the weekend, so Friday and Saturday?
Yeah, Friday and Saturday evening. And then our 2 games are, as you mentioned, at trivia on Wednesday evenings starting at 7, and then the music bingo called Singo, which has been a huge hit, is on Thursday.
How do you play music bingo?
Yeah, so it's a bingo card, and instead of numbers and letters, B9 and that kind of thing, the host plays a 30 to 45 second snip of a song, and you have to find the title on your bingo card, and you try to get 5 in a row, just like you do in bingo, but just tacking on.
That's fun.
Song titles. So
yeah, that sounds like a good time.
Everyone has fun. We do different genres of music. Like last night it was 90s pop. Some nights it's whatever, 80s country, whatever it might be. But there's always a theme for the music. So you like that sort of music, come out and enjoy and sing along to the tunes. A lot of sometimes there's a few songs that pop up that people start singing to, and so it's a blast. Yeah, it's fun.
That is fun. Actually, I have reluctantly discovered that 90s pop is kind of an oldies now. It doesn't feel like an oldies to me, but it is an oldies now.
All of a sudden, it's 30 years ago before you know it.
Yeah, it happens faster than you expect.
Right.
That's funny. Well, cool, man. That sounds like a good time. I know I've been out to a couple of those events. I've done trivia, and then I've come to a jazz night. That's a good time. Now, not everybody that comes is like me, right? So I'm mid-career, mid-age. Who is different nights? Do you have a different crowd, or what type of folks show up?
Really, it's we get a real mix of I guess demographics at our place. The older folks, retired folks, we get some of those. We get parents with young families. Those people in that I don't know, maybe 40 to 50 bracket where they've got slightly older kids that they can be on, out on their own or monitor themselves, and mom and dad can go out. And we get some young people, mostly on the weekends. But it's a pretty wide demographic.
Yeah, very cool. So let's dive into your awards. So how does one go about getting? First of all, I guess attending the U.S. What's it called? The U.S.
Open Beer Championship. Yeah. So it's an open beer championship. So it's open to any brewery that wants to submit an entry.
Are there tiers? There's like home brewing, and then
no. Typically, they're all you could be a home brewer, you could be a commercial brewery, and you enter your beer in, you're competing. If it's by style, right? So if you're entering an Irish red ale, you're all competing together for the same medal. Yeah.
Oh, that's so. You got bronze medals.
Mm-hmm.
How many medals have you won?
Yeah, just those 2. So that was the first year we entered anything into a competition this past summer. And so we entered 3 beers, and 2 of them came away with bronze. Our Cooper's Red Ale and our Banana Republic Dunkel license. So really pleased about that. Yeah, after our first year of being open.
That's awesome. And that's a U.S. Open, so that's countrywide, nationwide.
Yes, nationwide. It's fairly regional though, as far as entries, but it is open, nationwide. It's like the third largest, I think, beer competition in the U.S. And then we've entered a couple. Those same two beers we entered in the Great American Beer Festival, so we'll see what happens there. Those results should be coming out here in the next week or so.
Very cool. That's exciting. I have a mentor of mine from years back. He retired and he became a barbecue judge. Like his job is to go around to barbecue festivals and then just like he has like a little tag and he like shows it to him and then they give him free barbecue. And I was like, how do I sign up for this?
That's a good gig. Right.
But I imagine beer judging's got to be a similarly fun event.
Yeah. I thought about getting into judging at one point, but it's I don't know. I mean, I'm serious about beer. I think those people, I don't know, but maybe it's like they take it too seriously. I don't like to take anything too seriously. So it's like, I don't know. It's not the game. Judging is not the game for me. But I admire those people who can really, dig into a beer and drink several of them and try to decipher which one's the best out of the lot. So yeah.
That's funny. So all right, you're a chemical guy. You're into the details.
Mm-hmm.
I know that beers exist. I know that different beers taste different ways. Like I said, I'm a Dunkel person.
Okay.
Except for I'm pretty much not a light beer guy, except for Shock Top. So anything in that Hefeweizen, for some reason, I really enjoy that.
Mm-hmm.
What makes something a light beer, and then what makes it a red, and what makes it a dark?
It's all about the malt that's used in the beer to make the beer. So malt, when it's finished, one of the final steps is to kiln it or roast it. That helps crystallize the sugars and get the malt ready for fermentation. So in that process, the longer it's roasted, so to speak, the darker it gets. And it lends to all those different flavors that you get as you continue the roasting process, right? So you can get malts that taste chocolatey. There's something called chocolate malt. And that's one of the darker ones, like the red ales. You can use some chocolate malt. The porters, the stouts, chocolate malts, or black patent malt, which is a really roasted malt that you find in beers like a Guinness. And then pilsners are those that are very lightly kilned, and so they're a lighter malt to produce a lighter beer.
Gotcha. So and I'm going to just be ignorant. It's just what it is. So you have hops and you have wheat, right? And you grind that up and then you kind of ferment that and that's the malt. But what's the malt part of the malt?
The malt is the barley or the wheat or the rye or the oats that you use to make the beer. So the mashing process is where you add the grain and some water and cook it and extract all the sugar, the fermentables that you're going to use to make the beer, right? So that could be, any kind of grain. Mostly it's barley, but a lot of beers use wheat. Some beers add a little bit of rye for spice, oats for creaminess, that kind of thing. And then the hops are added in the boil. So once you've extracted the fermentables, you move them over to a boil tank and cook to basically sterilize and get the beer to the right concentration, or the wort as it's called at that point. And you add the hops during that phase as well for the bittering and aroma. And hops are also a preservative for the beer.
Oh, so that's why it has hops in there.
Yeah, okay. One of the main reasons is it has a preservative effect, and then the bitterness, right, kind of balances with the malt. So if you didn't have any hops in beer, something that offset that malt, it'd be a really sweet, syrupy kind of drink. But the hops kind of balance that out, so you don't get that overwhelming sweetness like you're drinking a bowl of oatmeal or something. So
that's funny. I guess I'd not thought. Yeah, I could see that. That's funny. I wouldn't have thought about that. Huh. So do you also do liquors of any sort, like distilling, or you just stop at?
No. I a lot of breweries around here anyway, right? Bourbon's a big thing. They're getting into this distilling market, spirits, but I don't really have any intent to go that far. Yeah, I like to keep it with beer. I don't do ciders. A lot of people kind of on me to do some ciders, but I got a lot of beers I want to do first before I do a cider. So, yeah.
Oh, that's funny. So when you decide which beers you're going to do, is this
Mhm.
like something you think about while you run? Because you're a runner, you're a marathon runner.
Mhm.
I think I told you in the green room before the show, I had a roommate that was a marathon runner. Actually, he was he was a chemical engineer as well. Anyway,
Oh, okay.
he's a marathon runner as well, and he had a shirt that said, "My sport is your team's punishment."
Yeah.
And so whenever I meet somebody that's a real runner, I was like, he's a little bit off unhinged there.
A little bit, yeah. And I never even intended to run a marathon. It was like my buddy from high school and college called me one day, and he was like, "I'm out of shape. I'm 40 years old, and training for a marathon is like 18 weeks.
Yeah.
I figure that'll force me to get into shape if I sign up for one." He was like, "Would you run one with me?" And I'm like, "Yeah, okay." So we did our first marathon together, and I kind of got hooked on it. It's the same thing, right? Okay, it's a process. There's training. There's an event at the end that you try to perform at, and so I get hooked on those things like golf, anything like that, where it's like it's kind of difficult and takes some work to get it done, and there's a method to madness, and I fall in love with them and I get hooked on them. So yeah, and it's a lot of work. So after like 18 weeks and ran this marathon, it's like, well, I don't want to throw that all away, so I'll just keep doing it. And ran another one, and then another one, and another friend of mine is like, well, we ought to train and try to qualify for Boston. We did. It's like, next thing you know, running the Boston Marathon. So.
And you've done 9 Boston marathons.
Yeah, I've completed nine Bostons.
So this is a decade of life for you then.
Yeah. I ran my first one in 2011, and that was fun. And then 2 years later, there was a group of us that went. We ran 2013, and that was the bombing year. So we all were, ended up out of that horrid event. We were all safe. It was all good for us. Obviously, that was a tragedy, but
yeah.
We all made a vow to come back the next year and run it in 2:14, and so we did. And
2:14 is a solid time.
No, I'm sorry, 2014. Yeah, I wish I could do 2:14. Yeah,
I was like, goodness gracious.
Yeah, I'd be a professional. No, yeah, 2014 is what I meant.
Okay, 2014.
But yeah, and so I kind of had a streak going, and I kept requalifying. So we just kept going back, and yeah. So now it's 9, and the next year, hopefully, if I qualified, I'm in. If I can get trained up and make it over there, it'll be number 10. So
be number 10. That's exciting.
Yeah.
So do you also do like the horsey one? There's a marathon that does the bourbons around here, I think, right?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, there's a bike event that.
Oh, maybe it's a bike event.
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I am running this weekend. I'm running the Iron Horse half marathon in Midway on Sunday. Yeah.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. So do you get inspired? Like when you run, for you, is that like literally everything turns off? Or is that the time that you think about stuff? What do you do while you run?
That's a good question. Yeah, just whatever runs through my head. Usually it's, sometimes it's kind of long-term planning, kind of goals, whatever that I kind of work out in my head while I'm running. A lot of times it's just like, if it's just a training run in the morning, I run in the mornings. It's like, well, what am I doing today? I try to organize my day in my head, how I'm going to go about it, and get everything done that I want to get done, which I never do, but I try. Yeah, that's usually what goes through my head is like, what's on the agenda for today or this week. Yeah.
Gotcha. So where does the inspiration for the different flavors come from? Like, is it just like if you're into beer, you know that this is how you do everything, or do you like invent flavors as you go?
Yeah. I mean, there's, I don't know, 60 some styles, recognized styles of beer um, that are out there. So there's standards for each one. You know, someone has gone through the trouble of characterizing each beer in terms of flavor, aroma, mouthfeel, um, what have you, and appearance, color, and that represents the style. And obviously, there's a range in there. Um, and so I always try to brew the style. I'm not trying to invent the 60
Okay. So you're a
first,
dog show
you
guy.
know,
You're trying to be best
yeah,
in of class.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I mean, I don't know I don't know who could invent another beer. Maybe somebody could. I don't know. It's like something that hasn't already been done. It's like the whole
Yeah,
IPA craze. That's
60 styles.
yeah, it's run its gamut. But yeah, so I like to explore different styles and try to make them as they're intended, I guess, with my own, little twist or bent, right? And so it's usually in the malt or maybe the hop you use. It's that combination. If you're coming up with the recipe kind of on your own, but you know what kind of goes into the style, right, to make that beer, and then you're just adjusting some ratios and you're kind of just doing it. Well, I like it with a little bit more of this or a little bit more of that, whatever it is, to get your little I guess twist on it. Yeah.
Yeah. So from a supply chain perspective, is there a lot of variation, or do you like, for instance, I know that Welch's grape juice, there's some really cool stories about how they have to like, because when you drink Welch's grape juice, it needs to taste like Welch's grape juice.
Yeah.
Except they make like tens of thousands of gallons a year. So they have to
Mhm.
like purge everything and then slowly add it back in. Does supply chain affect you a lot? Do you mix your own, or do you just kind of go with what this batch gives you? I mean, at 400 gallons, the batch is small enough. What
Yeah.
do you ever think about that stuff?
A little bit. So I do try to stick with, like, if I've got a beer and I've got a style and I've got it locked in. Like, for instance, my Cooper's Red, um, it's locked in. I don't want it to change. I don't want my next batch of beer to taste different than my last one. So supply chains to me is very important. Then, right, getting the malts from the same maltster.
Maltster?
Yeah,
Is that the industry
yeah,
term?
yeah,
That's
maltster.
fun.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
So
I have a new goal in life now.
yeah. So we have I have a large supplier that I buy from, some specialty malts. There's a local maltster, South Fork, that they're up in Cynthiana. I get a lot of my base
Oh,
malt
really?
from them. Yeah. Um, they've got a good product and so yeah, I lock my beer in with the ingredients. So yeah, it's like I'm not gonna, oh, I ran out of Vienna malt, so I'm going to throw in some Munich malt or something like that. I'm not going to really screw up with a recipe because I don't have something. It's like I'm going to get it in and make sure I have what I need on hand before I brew that beer. So yeah, there's some
Love it.
things you can get away with, but yeah, I don't want to mess with something. Yeah.
All right. So you're an engineer. I'm an engineer.
Mm-hmm.
Running a business is not being an engineer, right? That's a completely different thing.
Right.
As you bought the business and as you run it over the last, so you guys have been in 2 full years now,
Year and a
1 full year?
half. Yeah.
Year.
So yes, almost a year and a half. Yeah.
What has been the biggest business surprise for you that you're like, oh, I didn't expect that?
Um, there's a lot of them. There's a
Good.
lot of them. I mean, personnel. I mean, I've managed people. Like when I was in manufacturing, I was in an operations role, management role. Um, but in those places, at least my experience was, you had a lot of long-term employees.
Hmm.
I'm in an industry now where people aren't in it for the long term. Um, so I guess one surprise is just the turnover there, from a human resources standpoint. But other surprises, where I was surprised at how well our kitchen side of the business has done.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's every bit as equal as the beer side. In terms of it's important to us and how well we do and the customers we bring in. So.
There's, and I won't name names because I
Mhm,
love the other one as well, but there's another major bar in town. And for a
mhm.
long time, they didn't have a kitchen and it was a limiter. So I can see what you're like. If you're
Yeah,
out drinking for a couple of hours, you want something to munch
yeah,
on.
yeah. It's important. A lot of places, small breweries, they'll bring in food trucks, right? Because they knew people to get them to stay longer. And if they're going to have one or two, right? Yeah, they want to munch on something. So having something like that available is important.
Hmm.
I'm not trying to be a restaurant, but I am trying to offer some decent quality food
Yeah.
while you're
And it's,
hanging out and having a good time with some of our events. So
yeah. And it's good pizza.
yeah.
What about brewing? So what was the largest that you brewed at home?
Mm.
And then there's a jump in gallons.
Mhm.
What was the largest you brewed at home? And then what was the biggest unexpected change from going from home to brewing at the industrial scale?
Well, yeah. So I brew 5 gallon batches. That's my home brew. But if I do a test batch, I want to try a new style. I mean,
Yeah.
I just go on my homebrew system and cook up a 5 gallon batch and see how it turns out. And it
So
doesn't.
you're still tinkering at home.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I tinker here in the basement of the brewery.
Oh, okay.
I don't have to do it at home anymore. I can do it here at work. But
Is your wife excited about this or is she a little bit sad?
uh, excited about this whole venture.
Well, excited to have her house back because
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I was already relegated to the garage when I was homebrewing. Yeah, but I had it all set up so I could just be out in the garage and hang out there. Yeah,
that's funny.
that's good. But and then so the batches here, right? So I don't brew 7 barrel batches. I usually brew somewhere around 4 to 6 um, barrels. So a barrel is 31 gallons of
Okay.
beer. So 6 is, I'm coming out with 180 or so gallons, 150 gallons of beer, somewhere around there. So 30 times.
Is there anything surprising to you that on that scale change, or was it all pretty?
No, what's surprising is it doesn't really change. I can scale up. To me,
Really?
I can scale up from a home brew batch and produce pretty much the same beer. Yeah, on the scale that I'm brewing at now. So
Huh.
I was a little worried initially that okay, I might have some scale up issues, but it hasn't been a problem at this the scale I'm at now. So, and I don't have any experience with. I have experience with industrial fermentation, but I was making citric acid, so uh, the end game there isn't anything like finished beer. So I don't know. Those really large commercial breweries. I'm sure they have some kind of scale up issues with dealing with fermenters that big.
Yeah. I mean, I would think just it's a turkey problem, right? Like when you cook turkey for Thanksgiving, you don't want to burn the outside, but you don't want
Yeah,
the inside to be cold. And
yeah,
maybe at 250, 300 gallons, it's maybe not an
yeah,
issue. That's cool.
yeah. I just know that like with yeast, right? That's the workhorse. That's what's doing all the work, converting the wort to beer. Um, you know, um, environmental conditions are important to them. So you've got temperature is one, and you control that pretty much the same as you do from homebrew to large scale. Um, uh, and that's the biggest factor for fermentation for the finished quality of the beer. But as you get larger, right, there's pressure, there's hydraulic pressure. You have a bigger vessel, so those kind of things impact the yeast and how they perform too. That's something that I know goes bigger that you have to deal with that. I don't have an experience with it, but hopefully someday I will. But yeah.
As a fellow engineer, I always say that if it's not broke, it doesn't have enough features.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, cool. We are running out of time. I hear you're in the bottom of the brew right now. I hear some.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah, I'm in the basement.
No, that's cool. Like for me, this has been one of the more fun episodes because I love so many things about Chinkapin. first of all, I love that it was a passion that turned into a business. I love that. I love that it's local. So you're just a guy who said, I want to do this. And
Yep.
it's all local. That's really exciting. And you're even buying stuff from Cynthiana, which is just down the road.
Yeah.
It adds to the community I get to live in. Super happy you guys are there. But enough from me. I'm going to close the show out and play a little closeout music. Why don't you tell people why they should come out, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. Obviously, handcrafted beer. We make them here on site. Can't get them really anywhere else right now. We have great pizza and wings, great food to go along with our beer. We have a full bar as well. A lot of programming, which we already mentioned quite a bit of it. A new event that we're starting monthly next Friday, the 18th, is karaoke. So
karaoke, nice.
Really looking forward to that, yeah. Another thing we do is once every other month, we feature a new local artist. We have a little bit part of our wall that we hang their artwork up, and it's on display, and customers can buy it. There's pricing on it and everything, and we change that out every other month. So another local thing that we're doing is just to support local artists as well.
Yeah, cool. And I know that you all have a game day special. We are in sports season, thank the good Lord again.
Right.
If you are out there, if you're listening right now and you are a college student, if you're living here in Georgetown, you're like, hey, I need a cool place to hang out. Chinkapin is more than just a brewery. There's food, there's events. It's a great place to hang out. There's great venue. We're supporting local folks. Go see David Miller. Ask about the game day special. Tell him I sent you.
Yeah.
With that, we are out. Well, maybe we're out. I don't know how to turn it off. All right. Well, we are out.
All right.